Youth pride is the common, unnecessary pride that young people tend to carry between around the ages of the teen years up and all the way until about 25 or at least 24, in which many petty, insubstantial, or unworthy things, in other words, things that are not worth it, are perceived as important or impressive or worth taking pride in due to youthful attention to detail and perfectionism, and this over criticism or over criticalness. And the master Samael On Baor explained in the different stages of life from age 20 until I think something like the late 20s or 30, or maybe even the mid 20s, the person is, or people are, in classifications of archetypal animals, man is a peacock, or humans are peacocks. And what are the characteristics of peacocks? Well, spiritually speaking, it is a symbol of pride and showiness and flauntiness. And I truly understand that the truth of this, having gone through this stage of life in my late teens and early 20s, having well past that. So continuing on here, in particular, there's also a lack of certainty in one's own worth a lot of the time, especially in the teen years and sometimes in the early 20s too, that we tend to have when we're young and overthinking things. So the main challenge that comes from this excessive pride is the really persistent feeling of constantly needing to prove oneself to others. Having this endless list of things that pop up in your life that you want to prove or show off. To prove and show off your newly acquired skills, often to people of the past, such as ex-partners who more often than not are no longer friends with you and therefore no longer of relevance or importance. But this urge, it might appear to be so necessary that the youthfully proud individual may find strange, creepy ways of stalking and contacting people solely for the purpose of making an appearance and proving themselves or showing off. And this certainly does happen, actually. There's an obsessiveness at this age range. And often without any sincere interest in rekindling relations or establishing a friendship again, or anything more meaningful, it really just is about the hurt pride, the person who felt victimized from criticism, who couldn't handle it, who couldn't handle the relationship, and they want to prove something or show something off. And astrologically speaking, youth with predominantly feminine energy, particularly Virgo and Scorpio in the sun or moon signs, have the most youth pride. These are the most obsessive, the most petty as well. It's not over major things as much as it is over lots of small things. So here are some common personal narratives. I feel the need to prove myself to them and show off my newly developed skills. I wish my first ex could see my new partner and I together. We look so good together. It's so impressive. I'm so impressive. But I've changed. I'm not that person anymore. I'm better now. I hate myself. I was so bad back then. Why was I like that? I resent my teenage self. I wish you could see me now. I wish I could prove myself and show off my new skills. I'm mature now. I'm sophisticated. I'm a cultured highbrow now. I plan my life now. I'm political now. I'm not passive anymore. I read regularly now. I'm articulate. I can actually make sense when I speak now. I'm a performance artist. It's amazing. It's so impressive. I'm such a sophisticated person. I'm a contemporary dancer. I'm not that simple person anymore. I'm better than that. I think there's something wrong with being yourself and being normal. I look so sharp with the way I dress now. My face is slimmer because the baby fat I had when I was a teenager has faded away. I look like an adult now. I wish I could, discreetly somehow show this off to my ex-partners. I'm part of this group now, which is this business group or this whatever group, which is really just another clique, essentially, that ultimately maintains my sense of status. I talk on the community radio station these days because I'm so open-minded and expansive. Look at me, look how much I've grown. I've changed, I've evolved. I'm not that simple person anymore. I was so bad back then, I'm much better now. There's this contrast that I see. I do understand your problems. I can help you with your problems. Just try me. Why didn't you try me back then? I am a good counselor. Why did you not believe that I could help you with your problems back then? I'm not that silly, irresponsible person anymore. At least that's what I thought you were thinking. I don't know if you were really thinking that. That's just an assumption I had. I'm hardworking now. I'm a feminist now too. I'm an activist now. I'm better. I drive now too. So, as you can see, there are many youth who think this way, or I should say, there are many endless things to try to prove, to think that you need to prove to people that seem important and things you get proud of. And these are, in fact, mostly, almost entirely my own examples of criticisms or like skills that were lacking that I thought I acquired, that I thought I needed to prove and show off. And I suffered a lot. Really, I suffered a lot with resentment of the past, hating myself and thinking I was so much better that I needed to prove myself to people. And it really was just a major delusion of being immature. And I'm not the only one. There are many young people who think this way. This is an age of, I would characterize it as the age of obsession. Between, late teens and early 20s is a very peacocky, obsessive, fragile, or I should say tender age range. So people who like this are completely fragile to criticism, and they struggle a lot in relationships, as I did. So as you can imagine, the list can just go on and on. You mentioned so many random things. It could be almost anything. And I'm telling you, when you get older, when you turn into more of an adult, which is like your mid-20s and your late 20s and your 30s, you will not see it as worth it anymore. I'm telling you now, it's not worth it. And so some may understand this outline, but then wonder, well, if all of these things that I shouldn't be proud of because they're considered insignificant, well, is there anything worth being proud of then? And my answer to you is yes, relatively speaking. There are things that mature adults do become proud of and jealous over and find impressive. But the point is that youth pride is really petty and unnecessary and excessive, and it's endless. There are all these little things that we feel the need to be proud of, and if anyone says anything about you, you feel bad, you resent yourself, and you think it's a big deal. So you take it seriously, more serious than you have to, and you feel the need to prove it. And this is a big problem. This is the major thing, is taking things too seriously at that age. Whereas the pride that a mature adult experiences is more or less reasonable. And, the only things that we do get proud, that adults do get proud of or jealous over, are much more substantial. And there are less things. It's not an endless list of 100 different things. Like, oh, look at me, I read now. Look at me, I eat healthy now. I plan my life, I exercise. It's not an endless list. So the solution is to gain a thorough understanding of self-worth, as well as a better discernment between minor things and significant, adult level things. And of course, it's relative. It's based on your culture and the time and the place, but we should all share the understanding that all people are part of the same species. We're all human, and therefore we're all relatively the same in potential and skill. So it's like, what do we really have to prove to others? We should also understand that this principle applies to our age as well. We all develop in the same way according to our age. And in fact, knowing your age is actually a very good way of knowing your worth, because nature is consistent. Nature develops the brain in a very specific way according to your age. So no matter how mature you think you are for your age, and many people do think that they're quite mature for their age, and they still don't realize that you're super fragile. Or, okay, you're mature, but like obsessive. You care so much. Like, I'm addressing this pride. I used to think I was mature for my age, and in a sense, sure I was, but it's nothing mature about being really fragile and sensitive. So there will be those imbalances that at that particular age that it has when you're still developing or when you're getting older. Now, in the professional world, hiring managers will judge you based on your experience and your skill level, because that's specifically what they're looking for. But in terms of maturity, most people are going to judge you by your age above everything else. And personally, as someone who used to be dysfunctionally perfectionist and very insecure and endlessly proud of small things, as well as having observed the same phenomenon in other young people, I can tell you with confidence that this is something that, at least half the population of youth go through, maybe more than that. And that most of the self-image things that concern you today will no longer concern you when you're older, and no longer will be worth it to you when you reach around the age of 25 or 26. I mean, even at 24, I thought I stopped caring what people think of me at around age 24, but little did I know I was still overly critical about certain things people said about me, and I thought that I was no good for being seen as this or that. And I thought that was normal to think that way, and really it was still hyper perfectionist. So I thought it was acceptable to really care what people think. And then finally at age 26, I no longer viewed these criticisms as a big deal. And I understood really what it means to be yourself. It's just more authentic to be yourself, because then you don't have to control people's opinions obsessively, right? It's not so mature to be so insecure that you have to try to control people's opinions about you all the time. That's pride. And when you're authentically yourself, you don't have to control people's opinions. It's just clearly that you are yourself. People don't always see that, but it's much more authentic, much more natural to just be yourself. And people can say things about you, but you're not doing anything wrong because you're just being yourself. So it's more authentic. So my urge to prove myself to people from the past, especially from the past, subsided. I was just too critical, too perfectionist, and there was nothing wrong with the things that people were saying about me. There's nothing wrong per se with being a simple person or being this or that. There's nothing wrong with just being myself. So why become, and with regards to jealousy, why become proud of something that anyone can do, or things that everyone does, or things that we'll all do eventually when we get older or grow up? Things like getting a car or a license, or moving out, or buying a property. It might seem impressive at first, but we're all going to do these things. How is 1,000 followers on Instagram or 1,000 friends on Facebook impressive compared to people who make social media their profession when they have, hundreds of thousands to millions of followers behind them? That is a discernment of what's more substantial. It's like, it doesn't make sense to get jealous over someone who has like 1,000 followers on Instagram. Like, that's nothing in the professional realm. And, is the person that you want to impress really worth it to you? What if they're really different from you? What if they're not compatible as a friend or lover? I know it can be easy to get attached to people, and even when we don't like them, if it's an ex-partner that we had some bond with and we feel this need to prove ourselves to them, what snapped me out of it is the fact that when I realized they're not compatible, she's not compatible as a friend even, or as a partner, then it's just not worth it, because you don't get very much kick out of that. It's even better to impress people who actually have the same taste as you. Then maybe you can actually get them jealous. But if they don't even like the same things that you do, then it doesn't even work. So, are they compatible as a friend or lover? Is it really worth it to you to show off something or to prove something to them? How can their opinion be valuable compared to somebody else out there who is actually really amazing, very similar to you, very compatible instead? Someone with the same taste and the same aspirations. That person, I would say, is, at least when you do something like that, it's much more worth it, maybe, because they're similar to you. They get a similar reaction. But I think that's why and if you're going to do something like this where you feel the need to prove something, it should be a big deal. You should have gone through a really major transformation. Nothing really small, like you read books, you have an expanded vocabulary, or you talk on the radio or something. It should be pretty substantial. Something that most people can't do. If you have a lot of social media followers, it should be in the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. Or if you have status, you should be almost famous, at least some local fame in your city or something, something that's actually impressive. Then it makes a difference. But it's either way, it's not good to feed pride, obviously. So otherwise, it's not worth it. Be yourself, be authentic. There's nothing wrong with being a normal person or an average person. There's nothing to prove.